Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Your dreams are your ticket. Never mind. Those of you who grew up in the 70s, you know where I was going with that. Anyway, I digress. Guess what we're making today? Oh my goodness. Are you excited? I am excited. Excited I am. We're going to make some stuffed pork chops. Now, this can be a stuffed pork chop. It could be a stuffed steak chop, a stuffed lamb chop. The concept is the same, but today I got lamb chops or pork chops. All right, so I'm gonna show you what I do. I'm gonna do what I show you. You ready? Come check this out. Okay, I'm gonna try to come up with a name for this pork chop. It's gonna be stuffed, but it's stuffed with some herbs and veggies that I had in the refrigerator that I did not want to toss out. So here I got a few leaves of mint. I'm going to throw it in there. I've got 4 cloves, decent clove size of garlic. I'm going to throw it in the food processor too. I've got 2 green onions, scallions, whatever you call them, spring onions. I'm going to throw it in there. I got some cilantro that probably only had about another day left before that went bad. I'm going to throw that in there. I've got the lovely bunch of coconuts. Dee-dee-dee-dee. There they are standing. Okay. All right. I've got a whole bunch of spinach that I haven't used. I'm going to throw that in there. Those of you who saw my video for the, what did I make with this? With my meatballs. So this is very similar to that. All right. That's enough of that. I've got some cream cheese, some Philadelphia whipped cream cheese that I want to get rid of because it's been in there and nobody's using it. I want to take a nice, that's probably the equivalent of about 2.5, 3 tablespoons or whatever. You know what? I'm going to put another big old scoop in there because I want this kind of creamy. All right, that's good for now. Okay, I'm going to add my favorite season, Sazon. You already know what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to put that some of there in there, put that some of there. I'm going to do some cracked pepper. I want my flakes a little big and be twisted. You know what? Let me move this a little closer so y'all can see a little better. I'm going to move this so y'all can see. All right. Now, I'm put some little bit of crack in there. That's cracked pepper. Say no to drugs, kids. Some crushed pepper flakes, because you know I got to have my spice. I'm going to spare y'all from putting my ghost peppers in there. Put a little bit of salt, Himalayan sea salt. Now this stuffing, or filling, whatever you want to call it, there's no real recipe to it. I'm going to put a little bit of extra virgin olive oil in there. And you'll notice on the cutting board here, I also have some bread. I made this bread the other day, so it's a 2-day-old bread. And if I need my stuffing to be a little more tight, I'm going to put some of that bread in there. But we're going to see what happens here. I'm going to post this for a little bit, and we're going to see what happens. All right, let's see what happens here. Looks okay. I'm going to put just a little bit of bread in there. I want to tighten it up a little bit. I don't want it to ooze out of my pork chop. My pork chops also are not as thick as I wanted them to be. So, yeah, I can only stuff them but so much. Went to the butcher shop today, but I'll tell you about them in a second. All right, we're going to go again. All right, and I'm just going to scrape down the sides here while also checking the consistency. Let me pull this out a little bit so y'all can see the consistency a little bit. Yeah, it's nice and thick. I did end up using that entire piece of bread to help tighten this up a little bit. And I'm going to pulse this just a couple more times. You didn't see that. Nope, nobody saw that. Shh, don't say anything. Don't tell Judy I made a mess. She doesn't like messes. All right, we're going to pulse for a couple more seconds and then we'll be done. Okay, so now we've got our pork chops. I wanted them a little thicker. They look thicker behind the counter. So I went to a butcher shop. Listen, those of you who think going to a butcher shop is overrated, Trust me, it's not. You can taste the difference clearly. All right, see this little fat cap right there? I'm actually gonna trim just a little bit of that off. I don't need that much on there. I should take it back and tell them to take a quarter pound off the price, all that fat. I don't want all that fat on there. All right, I'll do the same thing for this one. Just went and got my knives cut too, so I'm really happy, really happy. All right, so now what I need to do is make a pocket inside this pork chop. The thicker the chop is, of course, the deeper the pocket is, and you can put more stuff in there. So here, I just got to be a little careful. Now, when you have this fat cap also, take your knife and just cut straight down on it. Right? Put a couple, this will keep it from curling up. I'm using the wrong knife to do this, but it's okay. So you ever make pork chops and you see them curling up in the frying pan and the skillet? That's why, because that fat is trying to keep that same shape. So if you cut that, if you cut it here, and maybe another one over there, like here on this one. I think I did another one on this one too, didn't I? Did I only do one? Oh, the other one is here. So a little extra fat there too, but I can take that off. Okay, so now we've got to stuff the chops. So I'm just going to go right down in the middle. You don't want to go all the way down to the bottom. You're just trying to create a pocket, and we need to fill that with the filling. All right, see that? Just making a little pocket we just making. All right, and that's what the filling is going to be. I'm going to go back a little bit more here. This is where the filling is going to go. The plus side of these not being too thick is that they won't take as long to cook. But I love a thick pork chop. A thick pork chop, I love. You see what I did there? All right, so made another pocket. Open it up a little bit more. Of course, you don't want the pocket too wide on the mouth part because you have more chance of stuff leaking out. So, but once you go in there, you want to kind of go deep without going all the way through. And we're going to fill that with the chops. That one's pretty good. I'm going to get me a spoon, get a little teaspoon. By the way, I do have a cast iron skillet over there preheating. I need to season these chops on the outside before I stuff them. So again, same seasoning that was inside the filling. A little bit of Sazon, some crushed pepper, not too much. A little bit of pink Himalayan salt, a little bit of crack, fresh black cracked pepper, right? We're gonna flip it over, and we're gonna do the same thing. Love Sazon, absolutely love it. Okay, and just a little more sea salt. And wipe my hands off real quick. And all right, that's that. Now we get to stuff it. So we're going to take our filling. And we're going to get a decent sized scoop of the filling. You're going to open the mouth of the chop. Put the bottom side of the spoon in first. And we're going to really just push it on down in there. So Judy and I just tasted this, and oh my goodness, this stuffing, this filling, whatever you want to call it, is quite special on its own. Now, how much stuffing to put in there will vary based on how big you made your pockets. So you don't want it to ooze out too much. It's going to ooze when you cook it. And yeah, you could do the toothpick method and all of that if you want to, but I don't want to. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to close that up right there. It's in there. I'm going to do the same thing for this chop. And clearly I made too much filling, but we're going to find another use for that, because it is delicioso. And I'm just making a mess now. Actually, I thought I made the mouth of that a little wider, but we're going to make it work. We're going to make it do what it do, baby. All right. Okay, so I'm going to try to stuff a little more in here, and then we'll be back and show you the next step. Okay, and you're going to want a preheated, preferably a what do you call it, cast iron skillet, because this is a really good pan to use when you're trying to get a good sear and good colorization and so forth. Then it's going to go in the oven after we finish doing what we do. So we're just going to put a pork chop in there, and you want to hear that sizzle. If it doesn't sizzle, your pan wasn't hot enough. You want to hear that. And we're just going to brown it on each side. When I flip it over on the other side, I'm going to toss it in a preheated oven, 450 degrees, until it's done. Internal temperature, I believe, is around 180 degrees or so. All right, I'm going to get cleaned up in the meantime. And y'all come back now, you hear? I can smell it. It smells so good. Okay, now, it's important for you to realize we are not trying to cook the pork chop all the way through at this point. What we're trying to do is give it some color, like that right there. Remember what I told you guys before, color is flavor. Look at that, it's beautiful. Don't try to come out. Stay on up in there. Stay on up in there. All right, so I'm going to give this about another 3 minutes or so on this side, and then it's going to go in the oven. All right, stay tuned, folks. Okay, so now I've browned it on the other side. I'm going to stick it in the oven, probably about 10 minutes or so at 450 degrees. All right, here we go. So about that filling that we put in the pork chops, it is so good, but I let Judy taste it, and guess what? She said this would go good as a dip for your chips. We're gonna try it on some pretzels later on because we don't have any chips. But when I tell y'all this is good, do it, do it, do it, do it. Yeah, this is fantastic. I'm probably gonna smear a little bit of this on the bottom of the plate, and I'm gonna put my rice on there, and then my pork chop, so that there's a little bit more of the sauce on it. Yo, this is good. I should market this. Don't y'all tell nobody my secret. Don't be trying to get, you know what? Go. Just go. Just go. Okay, you guys like veggies? I like veggies. We've got some green beans. These are the fresh ones. Not the ones out of the can, not the frozen ones. These are fresh. I just cut the tips off of them. I'm gonna throw it in a preheated skillet. Got nothing in there but olive oil. We're gonna put that in there. Pan could have been a little hotter, but that's okay. Put a little bit of salt. There's the sizzle I want. A little bit more crack in there. Get it nice and coated. Now listen, these literally are going to take about 4 minutes, if that long. I'm going to turn it up a little bit. Now watch this. I'm going to take my pork chops out of the oven, and we're going to see how that looks. Okay, so you can see things are slowly starting to come together. My green beans are still cooking up. I just took my pork chops out, and they are done. I'm going to let them sit. Do not just immediately cut into your pork chops or your steaks or your lamb or whatever. All the juices are going to run out. We want that to remain juicy. So we're just going to let that sit there. You can see the stuffing did start to ooze out a little bit, but again, I was too lazy to put a toothpick in there. Not that big of a deal to me because it's more rustic. We're waiting for the rice to get done. Another couple minutes on the green beans. I'm going to throw a little pat of butter in there. If you have some Parmesan cheese, it's good to put that in there. A little dash of soy sauce, some ginger if you want to kick it up a notch. But we're going to keep it simple today. All right? We'll be back in a minute. Okay, I just put a couple tablespoons of soy sauce in there. I'm just show you guys how to do it just in case. I'm not using fresh garlic. This is the already minced garlic that you get up in the produce section in the supermarket. And just toss that in there. And the garlic would go in last because you don't want that garlic to burn. All right? You could squirt a lemon on there so that it keeps that fresh green color on there if you want to. Not necessary today because I'll be eating this in T-3 seconds. You know what I mean? All right. We'll be back in a minute. Okay. I just turned the fire off on the green beans. The last thing that I would do just to kiss it with a little bit of honey. Just a little bit. Trust me. Trust me, folks. Just trust me. Let that sit there like that there. Like that there. Let it sit there. And we are ready to plate as soon as the rice is done. The rice went on. We're done with the pork chops and the green beans. The rice is still cooking, so that tells you how quick this meal is. All right? We'll be back to plate it up in a second. Okay, and here we are. Stuffed pork chop with some rice and green beans. I put a little more of that filling down here on the bottom, so you can use that to either use with your rice or put some extra on the pork chop. And for good measure, I'm just gonna put when I tell you this filling is good, it's good. And that's it. Bon appetit, real fast food.